In 1988, 4 days before Christmas, the inhabitants of the Scottish border town of Lockerbie heard what some of them described as the roar of an express train. Then, they said, it seemed to rain down fire from 30,000 feet above. Pan Am Flight 103 had been blown apart by a terrorist bomb. The townspeople were stunned.
Straight down, and then this great mass of flames, and I turned to run, but there's nowhere to run to.
We all thought it was an earthquake at first, didn't we? Didn't know what it was, and then we rushed outside and just all this debris coming down.
The tragedy of Lockerbie, all 259 people on board were killed, as well as 20 of the townsfolk, soon took on international dimensions. Several Arab groups were accused of planting the bomb on board. Suspicion fell mainly on the Libyans, and after a lengthy worldwide inquiry by Scottish detectives, helped by international security organizations, demands were made for 2 Libyans to stand trial in a Western court. President Gaddafi refused to allow it. Meanwhile, relatives of the dead kept up pressure on the authorities to keep the case open and began legal proceedings against Pan American Airways for compensation. Just hours after the explosion, the British Prime Minister, Mrs. Thatcher, had paid a visit to Lockerbie to see the extent of the damage herself. She went to 3 separate sites and was obviously moved.
One has never seen or ever thought to see anything like it, and I don't think anyone else has either. I went to the other site where obviously a lot of the petrol contained in the wing exploded, and the other site with the many houses that were damaged looks very much worse in daylight than it did from what we could see on television last night, and the damage much more widespread. And again, it is beyond anything in one's experience.
Most of the passengers, victims of a sinister web of political intrigue, had been American service personnel on their way home for Christmas.